Hi, I'm Charles Purcell. This is The Log. Friday, September 11. 19 years ago, here we are, the anniversary of 9/11. Next year's the big one, 20 years. Wow. I was living up in River Falls, Wisconsin, nice little college town, just east of the Twin Cities, the Minnesota-Wisconsin border. My kids were young. Let's see, they would have been 12 and 8, I guess. That sound about right? Yeah. And to be honest, I don't remember those conversations. I was a very conscientious parent, I remember. I tried real hard. I don't know how well I did, but I was always trying really hard to be a good dad. So I imagine I had the conversations. I don't remember now how I handled it with the kids. Like every American, I was shocked and saddened and grief-stricken. The first moment I felt very political about the whole thing was, I remember it was the old guy from NBC. I'm trying to remember who that would have been at the time. The guy who talked kind of funny. Oh, yeah, Tom Brokaw. He had that little kind of funny little thing in his voice. He had go. Anyway, very early in the coverage, he took it upon himself to say that America is at war. In fact, here, I just looked it up on Wikipedia, and to my surprise, this is high up in his bio. On September 11, 2001, Brokaw joined Katie Couric and Matt Lauer around 9:30 a.m. following the live attack on the South Tower of the World Trade Center. Following the collapse of the second tower, Brokaw said, quote, "This is war. This is a declaration and an execution of an attack on the United States." And I remember thinking at the time, who the hell are you to declare war? What are you doing? At this point, we didn't know who did it. There was pretty good speculation about Al-Qaeda and about bin Laden. But even if that was true, that is not a state-sponsored act. That's a terrorist attack. And there are many different ways this could be handled other than an outright land war. Those of us opposing this war status were a tiny, tiny faction. We just didn't count at all. Our voices weren't heard anywhere. And we were accused of being callous and not caring about those who died. No, we just didn't want to turn one tragedy into a decades-long tragedy, which it's become. America agreed with Tom Brokaw. It was a foregone conclusion. Yep, this is war. This is going to be warships and tanks and guns and, yeah. So today and every day we grieve the loss of those lives on 9/11. Yeah. Well, I didn't necessarily plan on devoting the whole program here to 9/11. Let's talk a little bit about football. Talked yesterday about Thursday night's opening game, Kansas City Chiefs versus your Houston Texans. And, I tuned in because I was just very curious to see how this was going to look in light of Black Lives Matter and all of that, and how the players would handle it. And it was a mixed bag at best. It was a little weird. As advertised, the words "end racism" and "all of us together," something like that, painted at the ends of the field, just outside the end zone. First of all, I misinformed you yesterday. I read that the national anthem was not going to be televised this year, that the NFL decided to run commercials during the national anthem and not televise it. Well, they televised it. And it wasn't just the anthem. First, Alicia Keys sings "Lift Every Voice and Sing," which has been put forward as the unofficial black national anthem. Lift every voice and sing. Now, I didn't catch this. Maybe I was going to get some chips? You tell me, was this part televised? I guess so. Yeah, I didn't see that. But then it was followed by the singing of the national anthem in some sort of weird hologram. They put it set at the 50-yard line. And so everybody was very curious, of course. I was very anxious to see how the players would handle it. Well, the Kansas City Chiefs, everybody stood respectfully with their hands over their hearts. Only one player took a knee. Only one. Kansas City defensive end Alex Okafor took a knee. Not only that, but raised his arm, made a fist, a la Tommy Smith and John Carlos at the '68 Olympics. Now, the Houston Texans decided to stay in the locker room for the national anthem. That was their decision. The players decided, and they came out afterwards. So that's what happened there. And then it really goes south. The two teams, all the players, walk out onto the field, join each other at the center of the field in a big long line. They all lock arms, and the PA announcer calls for a moment of silence for racial unity. And the Kansas City fans boo. And it's a whole lot of them. There's about 16,000 fans in the stands, of course, because of the pandemic. And we hear a sizable number, a whole lot of them, very clearly booing racial unity. How in the world do you boo that? I don't understand people. And then it just goes from bad to worse. We talked yesterday about how the Kansas City Chiefs football team eliminated that mascot thing, the guy riding out on a big old horse with a big old Native American headdress and war paint and the whole thing. So they got rid of that. But last night, the fans, they still go into their war chant. Da, 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 da. They do their tomahawk chop. Just disgusting. And then right before kickoff, the broadcast kicks it back to the booth for some final words from Al Michaels and Chris Collinsworth, the two guys in the booth. And Chris Collinsworth does the strangest thing. He's very sort of agitated, like angry. He's almost shouting. And he says, you know what? I support the players 100%. 100%. But now let's just play some ball. He's very animated. Basically saying, all right, I support you, but now just shut up and play, is basically what he's saying. I didn't quite know how to read that. And then they played a football game, you know. So, yeah, I just wanted to check in and see what this was all about. And I've told you many times, I like sports. Sports are cool. But everything surrounding sports is so screwed up. And especially the fans. I go up to Green Bay. I go up to Lambeau for Packers games. Usually once a year I'll go to a game. And as much as I enjoy the game, I can't stand the people surrounding me. What a bunch of hoo-has. The whole culture of sports fandom. It's just so loud and brash and white trashy. All the drinking and the yelling and the racism. And the jingoism when the war planes fly over. Man, I'm such a Debbie Downer today. I'm sorry. I got to talking about these things, and yeah, I guess I am a little upset today. In fact, I got to tell you this. I probably because of the mood I was in. Last night during the game while I was watching, I watched like the first half of the game, but I was also scrolling my phone and distracting myself otherwise. And I came across this little fight that somebody was having on a thread about face masks and blah, blah, blah. Some very outspoken deplorables. And one guy said, I've studied enough to understand the Hegelian dialectic in action of problem-reaction-solution to notice how this pandemic is being used to usurp our civil liberties and to destroy our freedoms. So he was just part of this very annoying thread. And I noticed he misspelled Hegelian. So somebody who's studied enough to understand the Hegelian dialectic, I don't know, shouldn't you know how to spell Hegelian? Spelled it Hagelian. And it's just, you know, I've seen this so many times before. These pseudo-intellectual gas bags I've studied enough to understand the Hegelian dialectic in action of, I don't even understand this sentence. People have decided that punctuation doesn't matter anymore. So we're just supposed to guess at meaning here. This is a very odd sentence. Anyway, so I found that very annoying. And I did what I only very occasionally do, but I couldn't resist. This pandemic is being used to usurp our civil liberties and to destroy our freedoms. So I just had to respond. I just wrote on a whim, well, you could spell Hegelian correctly and freedom, and I spelled it Freedumb. So that was my little snarky dig, my little joke, my little insult to this guy. And he responds, sorry, I am but a worm compared to your towering intellect, I guess. I am sure by your pointing out a minor spelling error, you have proven to everyone online just how awesome you are compared to everyone else. You must be proud. So he got me. He got me. Yeah, I was just being snarky. And but you know what? It's not a spelling error. No, it's not a typo. You are revealing, and I didn't respond again. I didn't get it. I could have, but I didn't. But yeah, if you're going to cite Hegel to prove how smart you are in an argument, and then to misspell Hegel or Hegelian, he probably doesn't even know there is a person named Hegel. He just heard the term Hegelian dialectic at some point. Oh, there's nothing more dangerous than a little bit of knowledge. No, it's not just a misspelling. It's not a typo. It's proof that you're just a big old dope. And I certainly, I could have gone back and forth with this guy all night long. I know he was up to it because he was doing it with other people. And it probably could have been a lot of fun and really entertaining. I could have gotten a lot of little insults in. But it just makes you sad in the end, really. Have you ever... Don't ever do that. There might be some immediate gratification, but really it just makes everybody sink to the bottom and you wind up feeling really bad and really sad. I did, out of curiosity, I checked out his page. Because often I'll do that if I find somebody who's really like, wow, man. And I was not at all surprised. First of all, he's single. These guys are always single. I mean, I'm single too, so who am I to, call this out? But I find it interesting that these guys are always single. His profile picture has him chomping on this big foot-long cigar. And he lists no job and no education. And this guy who's bragging about how smart he is, you don't think he would put on his Facebook profile his job if he had a decent one? Or his education if he had any? There's just way too many dumb people in the world. This is our problem. There's just too much dumbness out there. Too much. And I'm not the smartest guy in the world. There are a lot of people smarter than me. But man, there are a lot of people dumber. And they're causing problems. And that's why you see all of this stuff. Here, a couple of examples. This is not a right-left thing. This is, in fact, it might be even more a left thing. Regardless of political spectrum here, the word entitlement. Can we all just decide together what the word means? People are going crazy. You see this all the time, right? Here, I saw this post last night. I saved it. I won't credit it. I don't know who it is. It's just a random guy. Entitlement, 5 exclamation points. I paid for my Social Security since I was 16 years old. Our benefits aren't some kind of charity or handout, but take a look at the congressional benefits. Free health care, outrageous retirement packages, 67 paid holidays, 3 weeks paid vacation, unlimited paid sick days. Now that's welfare. And Congress has the nerve to call my retirement an entitlement? Repost if you are sick of their crap and ashamed of our so-called leaders. Hopefully everyone on Facebook will post this. You guys, you keep using that word. I don't think that word means what you think it means. Can we settle this here? Entitlement. Some kind of charity or handout. You guys, an entitlement means that you are entitled to it. Reading from the dictionary, entitlement, the fact of having a right to something. That's what entitlement means. I am entitled to my Social Security. I have a right to it. It is an entitlement. That's the correct word. The problem is that over the years, for some reason, it's also come to be defined as the belief that one is inherently deserving of privilege or special treatment, as in, no wonder your kids have a sense of entitlement. People have used the word in that fashion. Oh, so you think you're entitled? Think being the operative word. You're not entitled. You just think you're entitled. You have a sense of entitlement. To the point now where people think entitlement means something that you don't deserve, where it actually means the opposite. Social Security is an entitlement, and that's a good thing. It means it's something you have a right to, something you've earned. It's like literal. The word literal. Literally. Right? When people say, and grammar Nazis over the years have just become incensed about this. They say, oh, I literally died when I saw him walk through the door. Well, of course you didn't literally die. It means the exact opposite. But it became so common in usage that the folks who write the dictionary just finally gave up. And they said, okay, the definition, I'm reading again from the dictionary, in a literal manner or sense, exactly, literally. That's the definition. But there's also an informal definition, the informal use of the word, used for emphasis or to express strong feeling while not being literally true, as in, I was literally blown away by the response. So literally means literal, exact, and informally it means the opposite of that. And it's exactly analogous to the problem with the word entitlement. Entitlement means you've earned it, and it also has now come to mean, just because of the way people are using it, the opposite of that. It's as though literally only meant the informal definition now. Like over time, people forget that literally once meant exactly. That's what's happened with entitlement. It's been used in the opposite form for so long and so commonly that people have forgotten the original actual definition. We're too dumb. We got to stop being so damn dumb. Here, I'll give you another example. America. Oh my God. How many times have you seen this or heard people complain about this? You can't refer to the United States of America as America anymore, because people who want to get all PC up in your face will claim that all of North America and all of South America is America. And somehow to use America to refer to the United States is somehow jingoistic and politically incorrect. No, you're just wrong. There is no such thing as America. There's North America, that's a continent. There's South America, that's a continent. And each one of them has countries, none of which are named America. The only country named America is the United States of America, USA. You don't have to be. I'm as lefty and as liberal and as PC as you're going to find on your radio dial. But I'm here to tell you, if you say America, it means the United States of America. There is no America in South America. You just can't take away the South arbitrarily. You can't take that SOUTH out. You can't. It's required. It's South America, it's North America, and the United States of America. So stop with that stupid argument. You're trying to be all woke, and you're just a dope. Oh, mercy, Lord Jesus. I'll give you another one. Okay, here's another one. Oh, people just can't wait to tell you. Now, this is a right-left divide here. People on the right just can't wait to tell you, well, we're a republic, not a democracy. Right? You've heard this. America is a republic, not a democracy. In fact, that's the title of an article I'm looking at right now from the Heritage Foundation. And they go on and on and on about how John Adams warned us against democracy. Well, of course, he was warning us against mob rule, pure democracy. As soon as you got 51%, that 51% rules, and the other 49% can go suck it. Of course, if you learned anything, didn't you learn this in school? Of course that's true. Of course we don't want mob rule. And of course that's why we are a democratic republic, so that minorities have rights and are represented. As much as you can criticize the founders for being white privileged slaveholders, they really did work pretty hard on this whole governmental system thing. And they borrowed from Europe, and they borrowed from First Nations on this continent, and they really put a lot of effort into this. So now you guys want to define democracy as mob rule. You set up this straw man. And it's all because you're losing your white privilege, and you're afraid of any kind of diversity. Multiculturalism is a dirty word for you guys. And you can't wait to point out the fact that we're not a democracy. Well, of course we're a democracy. If you knew anything at all about American history and the founding of this nation and the founding documents and the debates that happened, and again, I don't claim to be any kind of an expert at all, but I know what I'd learned in school. I know the basics. Why do you think the party was called the Republican? What were they called? Before the Republicans and the Democrats split off, they were one party. They were the Democratic Republicans or the Republican Democrats. I forget which. Because republic and democracy were interchangeable for 100 years. They meant the same thing to the people running the country and anybody who knew squat about the country. Yes, it's a republic. It's a democratic republic. It's the same thing. They're not two different things. So if you ever find yourself saying that, we're a republic, not a democracy, will you please stop? Will you please not do that anymore? No, we are not a pure democracy. Everybody knows that. And yes, that is mob rule. And nobody wants that. Nobody wants mob rule. And we can have our debates about the Electoral College. There's lots to be said, way more than I'm capable of handling right now. Its origins in slavery, all of that. The makeup of the Senate, the fact that for the first 100 years or however long that took, senators were not voted in by the public. They were appointed by the House. The fact that you can fit half the country's population into the city of Los Angeles and the weird disparities that creates, democratically speaking. There's a whole big, long conversation and debate you can have about all these things. But don't pin it on that one really, really ill-informed, dopey idea that we're not a democracy. You're just wrong. You're like the guy who misspells Hegel. You're just a dope trying to sound smart. What are we going to do, you guys? What are we going to do? It makes me think of this other very common idea that you'll see going around. You'll hear it from people. And that is what we should teach in schools. For example, here's one. I'm reading one. I think schools should have a mandatory mental health class that you get credit for, where you learn about depression, anxiety, eating disorders, schizophrenia, and other mental disorders. And you also learn good coping skills and ways to get help. Okay, I'm not going to argue with that. That's fine. You also see that schools should teach personal finance, how to pay your bills, how to keep a checkbook, things like that. Okay, fine. Schools should teach trades. There's this whole now genre of what schools should teach. And I don't necessarily have a problem with that. But the problem I do have is they all have something in common. And that is what schools currently teach doesn't matter. And there I'm not going to agree with you. I can't really think of anything that's unnecessary. I don't know. Maybe the required math goes a little too far. Maybe. But the whole STEM area, science, technology, what's the E in STEM stand for? Engineering and math. It's all very important. The humanities are just very much shortchanged. They're so important. So if you think the schools should be teaching things they're not teaching, I'm not necessarily going to fight you. Maybe there are ways they can do that. And maybe there are different ways that we can learn. And maybe we could decide that learning is a lifelong process and it doesn't begin or end with school. Maybe we could all get that into our heads. But obviously there is some sort of problem with American education because we got so many ill-informed, stupid people. Really, really ignorant people. People who just don't understand how government functions. They don't understand what it is to be a citizen. So many people don't seem to understand the basics of the humanities, history, philosophy, just trying to understand one another. And believe me, I don't want to pin this all on schools, as though the whole rest of someone's life can just be filled with ignorance and entertainment. An entire life is just filled with working, getting your paycheck so you can go to the football game and do the tomahawk chop and be a big dope. And everything you're ever going to learn happens in those 12 years of public school. No. We have to make the very best of those 12 years, and we have had to extend it by at least another 4 of free public higher education. And we have to allow a space in the rest of our lives for learning, for education. Because there's no room for it now. There's no room for it when 100% of our lives are dedicated to making money and spending money. When we've had consumption drummed into our heads, and we're seeing it again with the pandemic. The only way we can respond to this pandemic is to go out and spend more money. Well, we have to keep the economy going. We have to get back to quote-unquote normal, which means going to football games and going out to eat. It's all about entertainment. It's all about consumption all the time. And then people think you go to school just to learn a trade and to learn how to spend money. And then if you're really forward-thinking, then you want schools to teach about depression and anxiety and eating disorders, which are all exacerbated by this insane cult of consumption. I didn't mean to get all up in it today. I apologize. I don't know what to tell you. It's been a weird week. And I love you. I really do. Just good luck to you. Good luck to all of us. Good luck with all the ignorant people out there. Try not to let them make you too crazy. Try not to let them run you down in their cars as they run through red lights. And as they run roughshod over your social media, spouting their ignorance. We all need to smarten up, man. We just need to smarten up. All right. Have a great weekend. Just a reminder, Mondays and Fridays, we go out to all the platforms, wherever you get your podcast. Check it out. If you want to hear the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday shows, you want to go to the website, charlesburcell.com. All the shows are always there. And also the other podcasts we've done over the years, too. You can check out the archives. Okay, there it is. See ya.